Hi there, my name is Melissa from Baking with Melissa. So glad you joined me here today. Today we are making my famous buttermilk biscuits and honey butter recipe. So glad you're here. Moment. And again, I am just recording this today mostly in my speaker view. So that way, the people that wanted to join today could go ahead and watch this later. And as I mentioned in the last class that I just taught, I will be sending over the recipe to you, and I will be actually sending the biscuit with honey butter recipe and the strawberry jam recipe to people in both classes that were coming, just in case you weren't able to come to one or the other, but kind of wish you could. And I'll send the recipes, and if you want the videos, I'll have access to that as well. So I'm Melissa from Baking with Melissa. I am located here in Los Angeles. My company is a baking party entertainment company. I host in-home baking experiences all over Los Angeles for mostly kids and teens. And then during the week, I host employee engagement virtual events with people all over the world. So baking is my life. This is what I do. And yeah, I love it the most. So when I'm teaching my classes, I love to say everything out loud several times, but I also like to add the information in the chat box. So that way, if you weren't quite ready to move on to the next step, but most of the group might be, you can just know that the information will be in the chat box for you. So you don't have to rush or stress out about keeping up or anything like that. In the end, most of us will have some biscuits and honey butter ready to go. And these are pretty delicious. Also, a side note there, if you have your buttermilk out right now, go ahead and put that in the fridge. Let's keep it nice and cool, nice and chilled actually until it is ready, until we're ready to use it. I do have a note in the chat box. If you didn't buy buttermilk, here's what to do. So I'll have you just measure out your cup of milk. Then you're gonna just take out 2 teaspoons of milk and replace those 2 teaspoons with 2 teaspoons of lemon juice or 2 teaspoons of vinegar and give it a mix. And then this will make like kind of a makeshift buttermilk. It won't be as thick as a buttermilk usually is, but it does pretty well at a pinch. And we won't be preheating the oven for a little while, so don't worry about that right now. And if you have your prep work ready, just give me some thumbs up in the camera or use a little emoji. So I know you have your buttermilk, it's in the fridge. You've got a stick of butter hanging out on the counter, ready to make honey butter in a little while, and 6 tablespoons of cold butter in the fridge and ready to go. Also, if you have cats and stuff that love to play on your countertop, you might want to dust that off as well, because we are going to be making some biscuits on the counter. So we don't want to have any cat hair or puppy dog hair or whatever on the counter. All right, so we are going to go ahead and slowly get ourselves started. And remember, I will say everything out loud, but then I'll also put everything in the chat box as well. So first of all, why don't we go ahead and grab our, whoops, somebody else is joining. Hold on, we'll start in a moment after we get this person in. Hello, Eric. I'm gonna put the prep work in the chat box for you, so you can get caught up. We haven't really started much. I just went over the prep work at this point, and we're just about to get started. So I will put the prep work in the chat box for you. And we are just going to get started now. If you'll go ahead, everybody, take out a large mixing bowl, medium to large. It doesn't have to be big. I'm going to use one that matches my outfit. And we're going to put the following ingredients inside this mixing bowl. And I have it measure the measurements in the chat box, but I'll say it out loud as well, all right? Yeah, again, we're not preheating those ovens yet, but we are going to measure out our ingredients. And just a reminder to anybody that might not have figured it out, I have two cameras pinned today in the speaker view. Oh, somebody else is just joining. Hello. All right. I'm going to back up just a moment. Hello. I see that I have a few new people that just joined. We're just getting ourselves started right now. So I want to let you know we are getting out a large to medium-sized mixing bowl. And we're going to put the following ingredients inside, all right? And in the speaker view, I do have two cameras pinned if you want to kind of see up close what I'm doing today. So in the mixing bowl, I want you to go ahead and start out by measuring 2 cups of flour and placing it into your mixing bowl. So 2 cups of flour. And for the people that just joined, just know that I put everything in the chat box as we're moving along. So I'll say it out loud and I'll also put it in the chat box. That way we can all go at our own speed. Everybody has different things happening in their kitchens right now. I don't want anybody rushing the process and missing out on anything. So I have 2 cups of flour in my mixing bowl. And whenever you're ready, you're going to add in 2 teaspoons of granulated sugar. 2 teaspoons. And again, go at your own speed. We'll all get this done together. And in case I didn't say this out loud, for the people who just joined, no, we don't need to preheat our ovens for this one, okay? We'll be preheating the oven in just a little while. Next up, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of my baking powder inside. You'll notice today this recipe we need baking powder and baking soda. I'm doing 1 tablespoon of my baking powder and just 1/4 of a teaspoon of our baking soda. I'm hoping everybody is measuring in teaspoons and cups today. I didn't get the recipe translated into grams. So Leanne, I'm not sure how you measure out ingredients over there, but I hope you've got it sorted. Okay, good. All right, so just to recap, I've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon, which is the big one, baking powder, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. All right, and then when you're ready, we're going to add in 1 ingredient more. And that is just 1 teaspoon of salt. Whenever you're ready, 1 teaspoon of salt, and you'll mix these dry ingredients together, okay? You can use a whisk or a spoon, whatever you like. I'm gonna mix up those dry ingredients. Give it a mix, just a moment, not too long. I like to just go in with my little whisk and move it around a bit. Making sure my baking powder, baking soda gets combined. I did notice, let's see, who joined? Yeah, I saw maybe 2 people join a little late, and I just want to make sure you have 1 stick of butter sitting out and softening. This is our stick of butter for our honey butter, and it needs to be a little on the soft side. So if you didn't pick out your stick of butter yet, please do that. All right, so I have my ingredients here, and show me with thumbs up if we are good. You've got your ingredients, we've mixed them up. All right, and if you don't have cameras on today, you can show me little emojis or just say yes in the chat box, whatever works for you, as it's perfect for me, just so I can kind of see the speed. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Thank you, Carla. I love that I have some neighbors in here today too that I've never actually met, but they're up the road. I love that. Thank you for being here, Evil Rock. All right, so I have my dry ingredients. They're all mixed together. Now we talked about this with our prep work as well, but since we had a couple of people come just a few moments after we talked about this, I'm going to back up a moment. So we need butter two different times today. One is a whole stick of butter softening, and the other is 6 tablespoons of butter that we have cut up into little pieces. Okay. If you haven't cut yours up into little pieces, do that before you add it into your dry mixture. And if you did cut up your little pieces of butter, go ahead and grab that out of the refrigerator for me. This is just 6 tablespoons of butter that I've cut up. I'm using salted butter, but really you can use salted or unsalted butter. Either way is perfect. And you can see I'm just dumping this in. All right, I'm just gonna add it into my flour mixture. Yeah, Leanne, I hope you got it. You were able to figure it out with me. I'm so sorry I didn't think about uh, translating all the measurements for you over there in Canada. All right, we want to have clean hands because we're going to get our hands dirty and have a little fun, okay? So whenever you're ready, you've got 6 tablespoons of salted, unsalted butter, cut it up into little pieces, and you're going to put your hands in there and you're going to start picking up the flour and the butter. And all I'm doing is pushing the flour through my fingers with the pieces of butter. And this is going to break up the little butter pieces and get it mixed into my flour mixture, making it a little on the crumbly side. All right, and that is what our goal is. We don't want to have any larger chunks of butter in here. You want to kind of mash it into all of that flour, making a crumbly mixture. Now, some people have fancy material, tools at home. Maybe you have a pastry blender. If you do, you can go ahead and cut the butter into the flour. I just find that a lot of people in different homes all over the world, like not everybody has the same kitchen tools. So I like the pastry cutters that are just my fingers here because everybody has those. I'm just picking up flour and I'm pushing the butter pieces through my fingers, just like this, breaking the butter chunks up and mixing it into the flour. Kind of soothing and satisfying, I find. And if you notice that down at the bottom of your bowl, you see a lot of loose flour with no little crumbles. Go ahead and pick up some of that flour and mash that into those little bits of butter. Pressing it through. Once you start seeing that it's a lot, and your bowl is mostly just crumbly, good. We don't want the butter to really melt in our hands. We wanted it to be cold, so we're not looking for every single little piece of butter to disappear in here. We're just looking for some crumbles. So I'm gonna move this up so you can kind of see inside my bowl. It's nice and crumbly now. And you'll still see some pieces. You can see like I have some larger pieces of butter in there, but I don't feel any big chunks of cold butter anymore. That's how I know I'm done. I'm still gonna have little pats of butter, but these are buttermilk biscuits, we need a little bit of butter in there. Before I go and wash my hands, I like to kind of dust them off this way so I don't lose any of those important ingredients. Put that in the chat box just in case you weren't quite ready. And I will be sending you all the recipe after the class today. And if you weren't here for the strawberry jam, I told everybody a little earlier, if you weren't here for the strawberry jam class, I'm going to send you both recipes later. So you'll get 2 for 1. You'll make a strawberry jam, honey butter, and biscuits all in one day. Or at least have the recipes if you're not planning to make the strawberry jam today. Now, since I had a couple people come after we talked about this, I'm just going to put this in the chat box in case you did not buy buttermilk, okay? In case you did not buy buttermilk, here's what we're going to do. If you didn't, you can just use whatever milk you have at home and you'll make your makeshift buttermilk. It won't be exactly the same, but it does work in a pinch, okay? So you would measure out the 1 cup of milk and then take 2 teaspoons out, and you're gonna add in 2 teaspoons of lemon juice or vinegar. White vinegar works, okay? And then you mix that up and you'll use that instead. But if you have buttermilk, use that. And I'm gonna tell you this, when I teach this class, I like to send out another recipe so you can use your leftover buttermilk. I'm gonna send you a chocolate chip buttermilk muffin. So it's a chocolate muffin with chocolate chips, and you use buttermilk in it. They're so delicious. And then maybe you want to use up buttermilk and make my chocolate muffins. They're really good. Yes. Okay, Carla, you're my kind of people, I can tell. All right. So I'll send over a bonus recipe today as well. So with our buttermilk, let me get back to my notes over here. I want you to measure out 1 cup of our buttermilk. And Leanne, I do have it in milliliters for you there. 250 milliliters. Or 1 cup of our buttermilk. Measure that out. Make sure the measurement is exact, okay? If you get too much in, you're gonna end up with really, really sticky dough, right? It's gonna be sticky anyway, but we don't wanna make it extra sticky. 1 cup of our buttermilk. If you're a youngin' over there, well, buttermilk is sour. I mentioned at the beginning of the class, my grandmother used to drink buttermilk right out of the glass. She would just pour it and drink it out of the glass. And I felt like she was tricking me with it sometimes, trying to get me to taste it. And so now I definitely have no interest in drinking a cup of buttermilk, Grandma. All right, so I just poured in 1 cup of buttermilk. And again, we're gonna go at our own speed. So if you're not quite ready for that, that's okay. You'll get caught up. I've got my 1 cup of buttermilk in there, and I'm just gonna stir this together until my flour is combined, okay? You don't have to sit here and just mix and mix and mix. You're just gonna mix it. It's gonna be kind of sticky. It's gonna be pretty thick looking. You're gonna wanna mix it up until you don't see flour hanging out anywhere anymore. And a lot of times with this, I find myself, instead of stirring it around and around, it's almost like you're gonna mash it toward the side of your bowl. So I'm mixing by mashing the dough into the side of the bowl. Just stirring it is not very easy. So kind of mashing it into itself helps it form into dough. Just mix and mash it around. Once you start seeing that it does not look like a separation, I don't see like buttermilk hanging out by itself. I don't see flour anywhere in there, I'm good. I don't need to keep mixing it. Just to mix it. And it is very sticky. Anybody here like biscuits? Anybody here bake their own biscuits? Is today our first time? Okay, okay. Some of us do. All right. Yeah. I love all bread, honestly. Especially if somebody else has made it for me. I really like that kind of bread. Especially a sourdough that there's a woman in my neighborhood who makes sourdough bread and sells it every week fresh. And I buy my sourdough bread from the baker down the street, even though I could make it. It's just a very big commitment to make sourdough bread. Oh, good, Carla. That makes me happy. Good, good, good. All right. Let's see some thumbs up when we have our mixture mixed together, just so I can kind of feel the speed of the group. Okay, I still see several people mixing, so we'll just pause for a moment. Wonderful. All right. Excellent. Hello. Little Carter over there baking, huh? Yes. All right. Next step, whenever you're ready, making sure your countertop is clean, or at least dust it off a little bit. Whenever you're ready, you just add a little flour to your surface, okay? Just a little bit. You need to have some flour around for the dusting part of this. So, just take a little bit of flour, sprinkle it a little bit on my surface where I'm going to work. We go with less is more here because you'll add a little bit of flour at a time. We don't want to put so much flour on it that we make these tough. So just sprinkling a little flour on your surface will be great. All right. We're going to get to play here. Maya and Diego's house, are you guys making two batches of, are you both making your own? Okay, I see what's going on over there. All right. Thinking you're all getting a good workout over there. Lots of mixing happening. Diego's sweating. It's amazing. All right, so I've got a little bit of flour on my surface, and here's what we're gonna do to get it out. If you start taking it out with your hand right now, it's gonna be sticky and gooey, so I want you to just scoop it out onto your floured surface. All right, scoop it out onto your floured surface. I have a little extra here, so I'm gonna put that there. I'm so excited to eat these. I feel like I'm gonna make like little breakfast sandwiches or something with them today. All right, so I've got my sticky dough here on top of the flour. And then we're just gonna sprinkle a little flour on top. So once you've got your mixture mixed together until you don't see, you know, a separation of the buttermilk and the flour and all that, go ahead and sprinkle some flour on your surface, scoop out your dough, and then sprinkle a little flour on top. But keep your flour nearby because we're gonna probably need more, all right? And while I wait for a few of us to get caught up, I wanna talk about the cutters for today. So some of you might have some round shaped cookie cutters or biscuit cutters. Whatever size you end up using is fine. If you only have a little one, use that. If you have a large one, use that. If you make them larger, you're gonna have, a fewer amount of biscuits. And if you make them smaller, you're gonna have more. Now, I find that if you don't have like a cutter that's specific for biscuits or other kind of dough, they sometimes look like this, you can also use the round part of a measuring cup. You can use a cup. Maybe you have like a big gold cup or something like that. You can use, a glass, a cup, something like that. Or you can keep it real simple and just cut them into squares. So if you don't mind if your biscuits are round, you can just use a knife and cut them up. All right, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Wanted to waste a few moments while everybody's getting hot up. So I have my dough. I've got floured surface. I've got flour on top. And what I'm going to do is use like the palm of my hand here to mash it down. It's sticky, as we talked about, but I'm going to mash it down into kind of a rectangular shape. And mine's going to be like an oval rectangle, okay? It doesn't have to be perfectly rectangle for this first part. But you can kind of see I'm just patting it down. I'm not adding too much flour. My goal is to just make sure that this is not going to stick on my surface, right? We want to make sure we have enough flour on there that it isn't going to stick to the surface. And we're making a rectangular shape, sort of. All right. Now I'll put this direction in the chat box in a moment. Let me get my hands cleaned off here for a second. So just a rectangle. And we're gonna do this next step 3 times, okay? So we're gonna do a rectangle shape. You're gonna fold the right side over to the center. And we're gonna make kind of like an envelope, okay? So I'm gonna take my right side over to the center, press it down a little bit, and take my left side and fold it over to the center. So I make what looks kind of like an envelope or a purse, right? And then I'm gonna squish that down and make another rectangle. So if you only are starting at the first rectangle, just follow along right here, okay? So this is gonna help make the flaky layers that we're gonna have in our biscuits today, okay? That's why we're doing that. So I have like a rectangular shape. I'm pressing it out. I'm making sure that my dough has enough flour on the bottom that it's not gonna stick down there. And I'm gonna fold it into thirds again. So I take my right side, fold it over to the center, kind of press it down a little bit. I'm not mashing it down, I'm just kind of pressing it down. And I'll take my left side and fold it over to the right side. So I have a little envelope or a little, looks kind of like a purse to me as well. And I press it down and I'm gonna do this again. Now when I do it again, so this time I did it in this direction, right? Now I'm going to rotate it and flatten it down into a rectangle again. We'll do this 3 times, the same process. So rectangle. And sometimes, like I said, maybe it looks like an oval. That's okay. It actually turns into more of a rectangle after you start folding it this way. So then I take one side over to the center, press it down. One side over to the center, press it down. Just like that. And we're gonna flatten it out into a rectangle, about 1 inch, okay? So it'll be about 1 inch thickness. We'll cut out whatever we can, and then we'll reuse that dough and cut out some more. So I did that 3 times, rectangle, fold in, turn it around, mash it down, rectangle, fold in, mash it, turn it around, mash it in. All right, and then I'm gonna do that. I did that 3 times, and I'm going to just press it out about an inch thick, whatever that means to you. It's very forgiving, so it doesn't have to be exactly 1 inch. And this is the point where you would use cookie cutters or biscuit cutters or the mouth of a cup or a measuring cup. If you're using a measuring cup, I'd say maybe use like 1/3 or a half a cup. I'm gonna press that out until my dough is about 1 inch thick. And I'm going to just press this in and then lift it up. I'm going to try not to do a whole bunch of this, okay? Try not to do a bunch of that and try to get as many as you can cut out. And then we'll take the extra dough and make more. All right. I'm using a flat baking pan to put mine on. I don't have a baking spray or anything on this pan. If you know your pan is just one of those that burns everything, maybe you want to put some parchment paper on there or some baking spray. But typically, it should bake up just fine without. And I'm placing them on my pan pretty close to each other. And I'll repeat all this because I know we're not all right at this step. I'm putting them pretty close to each other because they tend to rise higher when they're closer to each other. Like they help encourage each other to grow. So we want them to grow. So I don't have them touching exactly. You can see I have them pretty close to each other. And then I'm going to reform my extra dough, flatten it out just like we did before, and get a couple more biscuits. Now, I don't have to do all of that like we did before with all those envelopes, but I do it at least once. I'm just going to get a tiny bit of flour on my surface, flatten it out until like a little 1 inch piece. You could start folding it. I'm just going to fold it one more time just for fun. It's kind of fun to play with the dough, right? Fold it over. Try to use all of it if you can. And sometimes you have to do this a couple of times. You don't have to waste any of your dough. And at the end, every once in a while, I'll just have a piece of dough left over. And I always bake that anyway. I don't throw it out. It just might not be the same size as all the rest. You might have to do this, like I said, several times before you get it. And I put all mine pretty close because I want them to grow together. It's almost like the team of biscuits help them grow tall. Everybody's cheering everybody on, so pretty close. And then I have this little piece left. I'm just gonna try to, this is gonna be my sample one, okay? The one that I'm not going to, present to the group is gonna be my little piece of dough that I had left over that's not gonna be the same size. So I'll keep my eye on that one in case it starts cooking a little faster. But if you have a little piece of dough left, I would bake it up just so you can have a little sample, When I used to bake with my mama, she would always let me have like the broken cookies or like the sides of the brownies that she would cut up to serve to other people. I would always get the scraps. So this is the scrap and I'm keeping it. So again, you can kind of see how close I have these. They're not going to grow outward, but we want them to grow tall. So it will be taller than this once we get going. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I know not everybody is here, okay? So you take your time, please. But after you get your biscuits cut out, this is the next step, okay? And no rushing. But once you've got yours all plated up, I want you to preheat your oven to 450 and put these in the freezer, okay? We're just gonna pop them in the freezer, not to freeze the biscuits, but to get the butter chilled again. And then we're gonna pop them in the freezer as soon as our own ovens preheat, okay? But the reason why we're not preheating the oven, oh, excuse me, one second. Oh, the reason why we're not preheating the oven early is because we actually need a little bit of the chill time for these biscuits, okay? So we're gonna pop these in the freezer while our oven preheats. So that's in the chat box as well. So if you're not quite ready for that, all good. So again, we're not freezing them or anything, but we were using cold butter, right? We want to make sure that butter stays nice and cold when we get ready to bake these biscuits up. Makes a difference. So it just chills for a little while. They won't freeze. They won't be in there very long. But we are preheating those ovens to 450, and they bake up pretty fast. Wow. Sometimes people ask me, oh, can I freeze these biscuits? Maybe I don't want to bake them all. And the answer is absolutely. You can freeze them as the dough, or you can bake them up and then freeze them. Either way you want to do it. Works out great. If anybody's having any issues, any trouble, any questions, let me know, of course. And I will talk you through whatever. So again, we're just getting all of our dough. Put it onto your little flat baking pan, kind of close together. Once you've got all your pieces all cut out, pop them on your baking pan, pretty close to each other. They don't have to be touching, but not too separated. Pop them in the freezer, preheat your oven to 450, and then you get a few moments to clean up your mess, okay? So, Leanne, yes, nice, those are gorgeous. Take your before photos, before and afters. I always feel like excited when, like for me too, when I make something new, I'm like, oh, I want to capture the moments, but of course I'm into the food industry, so those little moments mean something to me. Some people, not so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my counter. I'm gonna make some butter here in a few moments after everybody's got ovens preheating and biscuits in the freezer. I'm gonna make this honey butter. Now you can also make it with maple syrup if you'd rather. It be honey or maple syrup, either way. Both taste delicious. I've had people make it with agave as well. So if any of those are your preferences, by all means, go for it. And the maple syrup can also be if you have like sugar-free maple syrup and you want to use it, you can use that as well. It translates pretty well. Meaning the taste is delicious. Uh-oh, what happened, Leanne? I see, oopsie, what happened? Oh, you went dark. Got it. All right, let me see with some thumbs up. Do we have biscuits in the freezer? Let's see how far along we are. Okay, Allison's house, yes. Anybody else? Okay, Patrick's house. Thank you, friend. Maya and Diego, how are you doing over there? You still rolling out your dough?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
making a ton of extras.
Yeah. I know if the two of you are making them, you're gonna have biscuits for several days, probably. Yeah.
We'll eat them for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. Eat them for breakfast, eat them for snack time. You'll have plenty. You can share them with someone. Yeah. All right. So here's what I'll tell you for next. Once your oven is ready, you are going to place them into, so meaning your little preheating indicator goes off. That's when you're going to put these in the oven. Use cold water to clean up the messes. Yes, exactly. If you use warm water, you'll make a nice paste, right? Yes, exactly. All right, so whenever your oven is ready, all of us will have different timing. Whenever yours is ready, yes. I think Carla, I think Leanne was giving us that tip as she was learning in that moment, right? No, oh, you were giving us that tip anyway. Yeah, okay, great. So whenever your oven beeps that it's set to 450, you'll take those biscuits out of your freezer, put them into your oven, and then you're going to set your first timer for 12 minutes. Okay. If and they kind of bake up like a golden-ish color. I have it in the chat box that it's golden brown, but I don't mean like a brown biscuit because that would mean we've burnt them, right? But like a golden brown, a golden hue on top is what we'll be looking for. But we don't want to rush it, okay? Because like I said, we need to add just a little bit of time in the freezer so the butter thickens up and does its magic. All right, so I have a couple of questions I'm going to ask you while we're waiting for ovens to preheat, and then we will make some butter in a moment. Let's see here. A couple of trivia questions for you. True or false? True or false? Preheating the oven means setting the temperature to 375 degrees. True or false? Preheating the oven means setting the temperature to 375 degrees. What do you think? Oh boy. Yes, Leanne. I hope yours turn out great. I don't have any of that information for you on altitude change either. I'm so sorry. Yeah, true or false? Preheating the oven means setting the temperature to 375 degrees. Okay, Patrick's house. I see the thumb down. Cool. Oh, love it. Over at Patrick's house, what are the names of all of you in there? Who's baking with me over there? I know the little cutie isn't Patrick. Okay, your dough was
Hold on. There you go.
I'm Lucy.
Lucy,
This is my sister Bridget.
Bridget. Nice to see you on here. I've heard some stuff about you through your dad, so I'm glad you're over there baking with him. Wonderful.
Good
All
times.
right. Thank you. Thank you. True or false? We will repeat that again. You can put your answers in the chat box if you want, or thumbs up or down. Either way works. Preheating the oven means setting the temperature to 375 degrees. The answer is, like Carla said, false. So preheating the oven means actually setting the temperature to whatever your recipe tells you to set it to before you put things in the oven. So there you go. How about this one? I'm wondering about my little bakers that have been baking with me for a couple years. If you know this, true or false? There are 3 teaspoons in 1 tablespoon. True or false? 3 teaspoons in 1 tablespoon. True or false? What do you think? When your dough is ready and your oven is, well, actually, when your oven is preheated, don't forget, pop those biscuits into the oven and set your own timer for 12 minutes. 3 teaspoons, true or false? 3 teaspoons and 1 tablespoon. What do you think? We got a couple trues over there, and then I know we've got a couple people with flour and dough everywhere on their hands. And it's a little hard to be answering trivia questions. Totally get it. All right, and the answer for that one is true. There are 3 teaspoons and 1 tablespoon. All right, let's see what my next question here is. All right, this one's about pretzels, okay? And then we're gonna move on to make some honey butter. So pretzels, anybody like pretzels? Yes, pretzels in the mall. That's me, I like those, yes. All right, so there is, Leanne, I don't know if you guys have Auntie Anne's in Canada, but in our shopping malls, we have a pretzel place called Auntie Anne's Pretzels, all right? And this question is about their pretzels. What do you think is the most popular pretzel topping for Auntie Anne's pretzel? Is it salted, unsalted, cinnamon sugar, or jalapeno? The most popular pretzel topping for Auntie Anne's pretzels, is it salted, unsalted, cinnamon sugar, or jalapeno? What do you?
No, don't raise your hand. I think it is cinnamon sugar.
All right, thank you. What about anybody else? I'm gonna take a little video of my little biscuits before I put them in the oven. Ooh, yes. Setting the timer for 12 minutes. These are usually done sometime between 12 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven, okay? Just an FYI. So at the 12-minute mark, we want to take a look and see, do they look a little golden? If so, we are good. If not, if they're still a little pale or it looks like raw dough, you're just going to add 2 minutes to your timer, okay? I'll talk through that again in a moment. All right, I'm afraid of yeast. Leanne, I teach a pretzel making class. Maybe I could do that sometime. These pretzels turn out delicious. It's just that the class is almost 2 hours long. So it's a little long on Zoom, but I do teach it on Zoom quite often, pretzel making. All right, the question here is, what is the most popular pretzel topping for Auntie Anne's pretzels? And the answer is cinnamon sugar. Cinnamon sugar is the most popular. But what about you? What's your favorite kind of pretzel, everybody? If you could have any kind of pretzel, what kind of pretzel is it? What kind of pretzel? Like, kind of describe it to me. Oh, yeah, cheese. Like a salted pretzel dipped in cheese. Or cinnamon sugar dipped in like icing. Salted with mustard and cream cheese. That sounds amazing, Allison. Wonderful. Dipped in butter salt. Love. When I used to live in New York City a million years ago, and I'd go walking down the streets of New York City, and they always had these street vendors that had pretzels, and you could smell the pretzels all the way down the street. And it was always so tempting, like, oh, I need to have those pretzels. But then when you would eat it, it would be like, man, that pretzel's like, I don't know how many days old and kind of stale. It was always very sad. But I always bought them anyway, knowing that probably it wasn't going to be delicious. All right. Whenever you're ready, we're moving on to honey butter, okay? We get to meet each other? Yeah, we could meet each other in a moment if you want. Let's make some honey butter though first, okay? So I'm gonna put the ingredients in there. Do we get to meet each other after school? Yeah. Yes, of course you can. After my last class, I let people that wanted to stay on and chat with me just stay on and chat, so you can say hi again. All right. All right, so whenever you're ready, no rush on this. We're gonna make our honey butter. I do find that using a mixer makes it a little easier. So you have a little hand mixer or stand mixer. It'll make it easier for you to mix it all up. But if you don't, I want you to know you can use your own mixer, your muscle. So with that, if you don't have a mixer today, I want you to just use like a closed or spatula and kind of mash down your butter. So I'm going to start off with my stick of butter that was softened, hopefully. If yours is still really, really cold, you can pop it in your microwave for maybe like 3 seconds. I don't want melted butter, but I do want it to be kind of soft to the touch. If you're not quite ready for this, you can go ahead and start whenever you are ready. But I'm going to cream my butter first. So if I don't have a mixer, I'm just going to mash that butter down until it's nice and creamy. And if I do have a mixer, I'm going to turn it on a low speed first, and then just increase the speed after that, just to kind of whip it all up. Goal right now isn't necessarily to soften it too much with the mixer, but just so that it's no longer in a big stick of butter. So I'm just mashing it and mixing it. And then we'll whip it up even more in a little while. So I start off just making sure that it's no longer in a large stick of butter. And just a reminder, whenever your oven preheats, if we haven't gotten to that point yet, you'll take your biscuits out of the freezer, pop them in the oven, start with a 12-minute timer. Looking for golden brown. And taking that stick of butter, mashing it up so it's no longer in this. And then, like I mentioned, you can use honey or you could use maple syrup or agave if you like. And our measurements for our honey is 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons. 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons. I've made this with, sometimes I will, if I make cornbread. Oh, Leanne, you mentioned you made cornbread. Sometimes I make this honey butter, maple butter to go with my cornbread. It is delicious. So I think this would taste delicious with your cornbread that you made. So 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons of our honey butter. We're gonna measure that out, pour that in, add a little bit of powdered sugar in there. Just 1 tablespoon, and then 1.5 teaspoons. The measurements are kind of funny. 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, and 1/2 teaspoon. And with this one, if you get it mostly right with the powdered sugar, it's gonna be great. And what I mean by that is if you don't want to measure out 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, and 1/2 teaspoon, you can just do like a scoop of powdered sugar and it'd be fine. Okay, 9 minutes, great. And then I just take a little pinch of salt. If you're using salted butter, you can decide if you want to do that or not. I do it. even though I'm using salted butter. And then you're gonna whip this up together, okay? We wanna make it nice and creamy. And so I like to whip it up pretty good. Getting that all nice and smooth. Whip it up pretty good. I'll also come and grab everything that's hanging out on the sides. And you just really, really want to mash this up and mix it up. So if you're working without a mixer, try to pretend that your arm is a mixer, okay? And go in and whip it up if you don't have a mixer. You want to get it nice and light and fluffy, okay? The cloud in my mouth. Oh, yay. Leanne's in Canada and her oven, she's in high altitude and hers are already ready. That's so exciting. So whip that up and then I like to make it a little fancy, okay? So I like to put my butter in some sort of little ramekin or a little dish. So that way we can serve it. We can plate up our biscuits on some sort of platter or a cutting board. I like to use like a wooden cutting board. And then I'll place my honey butter inside a dish and swirl it around so it looks pretty. Pretty and fancy. I'll just kind of move it around almost like it's frosting or something on the top so it looks nice. Just like this. Just sprinkle a little bit more salt on top. I don't know about you, but I like salted butter. I always prefer salted butter over non-salted butter. So I'll just take a tiny pinch, not a whole bunch, not even like an eighth of a teaspoon or anything like that, but just a little pinch and sprinkle it around the top. If you feel like your oven bakes kind of at a high temperature and things tend to burn or things, maybe things that you bake, excuse me, one of my legs is falling down over here. If things in your oven tend to bake a little fast, check it the oven when you still have a couple of minutes left on the timer, just to see if they are golden yet. All of us are working with different ovens. Some of these ovens, even though they say they're at 450, they're calibrated a little off and they might be too hot or not hot enough. What I'm going to do is I've got this cutting board, or maybe you have a fun little platter that you want to use. I've got my honey butter on there. And when my biscuits come out of the oven, I'm going to put them on a little platter that looks nice and fancy. And when my timer goes off, I'm gonna just take a peek and see, does that have a nice like golden look to it on top? If so, I know we can take them out. If they look kind of pale still, or they look like, I don't know, like they're raw, you'll just add 2 minutes to your timer each time, okay? Let's see here. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Looking nice. A little golden on top. You can see they did a nice job of rising. Ooh, and it smells delicious. Before I plate them on my platter, I am going to take them off and put them on a cooling rack just for a couple of minutes so they cool down just a little bit. All right. And sometime later today, I will send you over the recipes for the honey butter and the biscuits, as well as my chocolate muffin recipe. You can use up some of the buttermilk if you bought buttermilk today, and the strawberry jam as well. So you'll get some recipes today. If you're on social media and would like to tag me in any of your little posts so I can see what you made today, I would love, of course, to see what you're over there doing. This is my social media handle. I'm going to pop that in the chat box as well. And thank you to several of you who have donated for the fires here in Los Angeles. And I really, really appreciate that. My hope was to gather little bits of money so I could put it with more money and then help several people with more than just, a few dollars here and there. So I'm really, really grateful to all of you for helping. All of us that live here in Los Angeles have been through it the last week. It's been really stressful. Even if you didn't lose everything, we were all like running away from fire, so it was pretty scary. All right, so I've got these beautiful biscuits. You can see the flaky layers, they grow. Looks so nice. I let them cool on a cooling rack for just a moment. Sometimes I need to eat my little sample one that I made. Patrick's house, those look great. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna take a little group photo here in a moment. I would love to see what everybody made. Oh, let me take my other camera off. Ooh, how are we doing over there at Maya and Diego's house? You doing good?
We're almost done.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. Leanne, who is this fella? I need to meet your, hello. Oh, unmute yourself so I can hear you. Yeah.
Taste tester.
Yeah. Do we like them? They're good.
These are going over for dinner tonight.
Wonderful. Oh, those are perfect. Those look great.
Best biscuit in my life, and I'm already 65. I can't wait. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
Love those little kids.
I know. The kids are so cute.
They're so cute. And we Canadians are so crazy that since grade 5, so 60 some years ago, we've been trying to go metric. We do everything. We do both sides.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, darling.
Of course.
So happy to meet you.
It's so fun to see you. Leanne and I, for anybody listening, we met on Instagram many years ago, but now we're friends. Okay, I'm seeing some biscuits and stuff. We're gonna take a little photo, okay? If you don't mind, take a little photo of our biscuit. I'm not gonna post your faces on social media or anything, just FYI. I just like to have it for all of us, so. If you don't mind showing off a biscuit or two, we'll take a little photo. Oh, those look good. Maya, Diego, Allison, Leanne's house, Patrick's house. Can you show off a couple of biscuits? I just think I saw some a minute ago. Oh, these smell so good. Oh, they just came out of the oven. Love it. I don't mean for you to rush so much over there, Patrick. Hopefully you didn't burn anything. All right, everybody. I'll count to 3 here. And here we go. Allison, we're going to take that photo this time. There we go. Okay. Here we go. And 1, 2, and 3. I got it. Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. Well, I am going to send you recipes like I mentioned. I'll just send them to the email addresses that you registered for the classes. Okay, thank you so much for being here. These biscuits are meant to be eaten up. And if you aren't going to eat them all up with smothered in honey butter, you can, after they fully cool, seal them in a airtight container, okay? And then warm them back up if you like. I love you too. And the honey butter, you decide. Do you like your butter soft like this in room temperature or stored in the refrigerator? Either way, it works for you. Whatever way you like it is perfect. But I kind of like to just start eating them right after the class. I don't like to wait for them to cool down or anything like that. Maya Diego, what are you making over there with brown sugar? Or is it powdered sugar? Oh, it's powdered sugar. I was like, what are you doing? Adding something fun. All right. All right. Do we have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Anybody wanting to know anything? See. Nope. All right. Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Carla. It was so lovely to have you here. I really appreciate it. I'm always grateful to get to connect with the people in my community. So I really appreciate you being here. All right. Wow. Oh, nice. That is a beautiful biscuit over there. Very good. Nice. All right, friends. Well, we are complete here. If anybody wants to stay on and chat with me, you are more than welcome to do that. And if not, I will be sending you all, like I said, all those recipes later on today with our little group photos as well, just in case you want to see. And if any of you are going to post any of these biscuits and stuff on social media, I always love to see it. Or you can just send me a photo via email as well. If you don't go on social media, I would love to see what you made. So. My friend go, okay. Well, thank you, Leanne. I love you, my friend. Thank you so much. Valerie, those biscuits look perfect. Your layers are gorgeous. Good stuff. Yes, Patrick's. Those are good. All right, my friend. Bye, Leanne. Bye. All right. Hey there, Allison's house.
Hello.
Hi.
I had it all pretty and ready to take a picture, and then I thought you did, and then you're like, okay, picture time, and here we all are.
No, I got you. I actually got you in the photo posing.
I know.
You're funny.
This is fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much. Valerie, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We must live up the street, I think.
I know, we do. We're kind of neighbors. I'm glad you were able to
I'm
come.
very excited to eat these. I just got them out. So.
Those are gorgeous. Your layers couldn't be more perfect over there. Those are stunning. Yes.
Thank you for showing us.
Of course. Thank you.
We're gonna be eating this with the strawberry jam. We made this morning.
Yay!
I know. I was trying to time it out so the jam would be perfectly ready for the time the biscuits come out. But if you ate the jam now, it will be okay. But it's not. It usually takes about 6 hours before it's really, really ready for eating. But I don't think it would be sad to smother some honey butter on there and then add some strawberry jam, even if it's not quite ready yet. But all right, everybody. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you being here today. And yeah, Maya, Diego, it is so cool to see you so grown up now.
Yeah, it was good seeing you again.
Yeah, you too. It means so much that you're here. All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Valerie.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Hey, Raylene. I'm spying on you over there. Did you guys try your biscuits?
Yes, we were playing with the baby.
Yeah. Are you impressed with your biscuits?
Yes, they're really pretty.
They are so pretty. Look at